Greek salad. And this one's a vegan Greek salad. I'll talk about it in a moment. James has the pomegranate arrows and I do not on this one. Because I already had pomegranate arrows today.
And Greek salad, and down here. Come here, guy. Come here. I want to lift you up and show you for the folks at home.
Yeah.
Look at a Mexican Chihuahua. See? He's mixed with Dachshund.
Mexican. He's
He's
part Strathmore and part
Grand Prairie. Both in Alberta. Yeah. So he's quite a character. He's probably mixed with a little bit of Dachshund or Dachshund.
Probably a Toronto Chihuahua.
Mispronounce it. What was that? Toronto.
She's probably
yeah, T.O. as they call it.
I don't know. Because her microchip is from there. And she went missing for how long? It was a long time.
I think we calculated something like 8 months. 10 months, somewhere around there. She was gone.
A long time.
And microchips work.
Yep. I don't know where she was. She was gone over the winter.
And
somebody had her, I guess, because she would have
She would have frozen to death. Seriously. She's got very thin fur. She's very thin, and then she has thin fur, so she wouldn't have much insulation. Either fur or fat.
I thought when she went missing, I was sure that an eagle must have got her.
Yeah, you were very sure. I said, no, she's an escape artist. So we got hold of her in the first place.
Well, either that or somebody picked her out of the yard.
Kidnapped her.
But yeah. I mean, she went missing from somebody else, and we ended up buying her from the animal shelter.
And then one time we were in a place called Tamros.
Yep, we were visiting my sister, and we were exhausted, though. Because this was at the end of a hiking trip, and it was a very exhausting hiking trip. Very stressful.
Was that
a lot of mosquitoes?
Saskatchewan?
Yeah, it's when we did the tour of Saskatchewan. We did the grasslands, and then we went up to Prince Albert National Park. And that was so mosquito-y.
Yeah, it's incredible. I had to tell my dad, this isn't an outbreak of cancer. It's all over my face, neck. It's all swollen up.
Oh, we went back down there. I don't think so. I don't think that was the same trip. I think you're thinking about the
Riding
trip.
Mountain.
Yeah, and that was mosquito-y too.
Oh, well.
That was a different one. Because from Prince Albert we went straight to my sister's.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
I can remember it now.
Yeah.
I can remember plotting that trip.
I brought some hemp hearts if you want them on there.
Some what?
Hemp hearts, if you want hemp hearts on there.
Yeah, I think so too. But
I didn't put any extra salt in it. Is it salty enough? I guess I'll just taste it.
Oh, it's great. I'm not a big fan of salt. Although, I like salt. And once I start eating something that's salted, it's hard for me to stop. Popcorn's incredible.
See,
so now I've opened it up. I've got to take them all. How does this thing go? I guess we're going to refrigerate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just.
So.
Trying to.
I
apply it illiberally
instead of feta on the salad to make it look like feta. And
yeah, I thought you'd got some. I was looking over there. Well, she'd left some out here in anticipation of us coming out, and the dogs wanted out. And I thought, oh no, that little Mexican Chihuahua, actually the Strathmore / Grand Prairie Chihuahua would be up here chowing down on.
And I would have rather had Kalamata olives, but we didn't have any.
Oh, this is awesome. Awesome Greek salad right here. She might have outdone the Greeks. I don't like to say that.
But it's very affordable. Because right now, produce has not went up. It's very cheap. And there's good looking produce out there. And meat and dairy and eggs have skyrocketed apparently. Not that I'd noticed. This is how we eat.
Every so occasionally we get eggs.
Yeah, because James likes them.
And every
But-
so occasionally cheese.
Yeah, not very.
But no. But yeah, so I applied these hemp parts illiberally. Have you ever heard of apply liberally? I applied them illiberally. So that's my little segue to.
I used to use a lot of hemp hearts on stuff.
Mhm.
I used to eat a lot of them.
Yep.
And I used to eat that brand. That was given to us, that package. I'm very thankful. But, yeah, I just don't feel like it right now. But I could eat them, I guess. I just don't feel like it.
So that was my segue to.
Kant.
Yeah. So I bet you can't read Kant, at least as much as I have.
Oh, he's been putting him to sleep with it.
I put myself to sleep. So there you go. Immanuel Kant, or Immanuel Kant. And this is the Britannica Great Books. So you're supposed to get a set of these, right? This is number 42 in the series. And how many do they have here? 54 all told. 54 all told. I don't know if they still put this out, the Great Books of the Western World. So you're supposed to put these up, I guess, next to your
World Book
Encyclopedia
Encyclopedias, yes.
Britannica.
Yeah.
Different from World Book. They'll be
Oh.
very disappointed.
Oh,
World
I'm
Books,
so sorry.
Well, don't apologize. It's
I don't know.
It's not important. The Encyclopedia
Britannica's the better
Britannica.
one.
It's funny how it's put out in. Here's how they got it. Chicago and London only secondary, and then Toronto and Geneva of all places, Sydney, Australia, Tokyo, and Manila of all places too. I guess Manila was an American colony for approximately 50 years. Maybe a little less. And the Americans tried to set an example for the rest of the so-called colonial powers. They should have been called imperial powers. Misuse of colonial. But colonial involves, and yes, it's related to culture, yeah, and cultivation. So it involves taking over land that you're cultivating and moving your culture in. So that's what happened with the original colonial enterprise. And it wasn't just the British people, basically English people, in the New World. It was the Spanish, Portuguese, to a certain extent the Dutch, even the Swedish, and the Danish up north in Greenland. And it involved moving people over and stealing and settling land, settler colonialism. But you know what happened in Africa generally? It was very late. And with the exception of South Africa, Rhodesia, and the highlands of Kenya, it didn't involve much movement of people. It was more of a trading enterprise. So it wasn't colonial. I know they called it that, but it was a misnomer. So, getting back to Big Emmanuel. So I'm going to call him Kant, so you don't misunderstand. A guy who used to teach Kant out at the University of Lethbridge, whose name was Preuss, which means Prussian, I think, in German. He's a very Prussian kind of guy, a bit of a sense of humor. And so he said, we're going to call him Kant, because if I pronounce him correctly, you're going to think I'm using a four-letter word in English. So we're going to call him Immanuel Kant. And here's the stuff they claim is in here. I presume it's complete, although each of these aren't that long. Critique of Pure Reason, the Critique of Practical Reason, and other ethical treatises. I don't know why there's the emphasis on the ethical, and the Critique of Judgment. Here's a more detailed enumeration of them. Critique of Reason, Fundamental Principles of the Metaphysic of Morals, the Critique of Practical Reason, Preface and Introduction to the Metaphysical Elements of Ethics, with a note on conscience, a general introduction to the Metaphysics of Morals. So these are pretty short, 14 and 12 pages. This is the last thing. The Science of Right, that I think is complete. The Critique of Judgment, and that one's I think roughly 150 pages or something like that, all told. So there's a lot of stuff in here. It's over 600 pages. I counted with introduction and stuff like that, 630 pages or so. A lot of stuff. And it took me a long time to get through. This is, we call it philosophy, but as I was saying to Pauline earlier today, it's really not so much philosophical, but I wonder if I can say this. Philosoporifical. Philosoporifical. It put me to sleep so many times. I almost love it. I love sleeping now. And I do sleep a lot with the my advanced age, with the various treatments that I take. They seem to cause a certain degree of fatigue and drowsiness, and especially after I eat, which is automatic. The times that I don't get drowsy, I don't know why it is. Have you noticed how when I'm driving long distance nowadays I don't get drowsy?
I know, it's weird because he sleeps constantly.
Well,
he's falling asleep all the time.
So I'll wake up and read some more.
How are you doing in there?
Fall asleep. Yeah.
She wanted to come out.
I'm going to review this, dude. Dates: 1724, 1804. Born 1724, died 1804. Should have died of embarrassment. This is awful stuff. Garbage. It's idealism. I won't say the worst sort, because there's worse stuff. One of the things I'm subjecting myself to is the so-called Saint Augustine. So we'll call him, not Augustine, but Saint Thomas Aquinas. We're going to call him Thomas Aquinas, or maybe Tommy Aquinas, or something like that. He was a rough contemporary of, early contemporary of Dante, who died 1321, and I believe the dates for, he's like the middle of the 13th century, Aquinas, and I'll get around to him. There's a lot of stuff there. Smaller format than this, smaller book this way, but there's a lot of pages in there, in that one, and he was born, I believe, 1225, died, should have died of embarrassment. I believe it was 1274 or 76. We'll go with 74. So again, like it's if this guy's yipping and yapping about the necessity of God, and you just got to have a God. You got to have a something like a first cause. You work your way back through. Something's got to cause one thing, and then something's got to cause that, and there's got to be an ultimate cause. I mean, why? Why? It doesn't make any sense. But he's really head up about that. He head up about a lot of stuff. The guy who taught me Kant way back in the day. Well, he was actually talking about Kant, now that I think about it. He was teaching us. Must have been. Why why was he? I think it was he taught me existentialism, and along with a few other people, including one of my friends who's a syndicalist anarchist. And this philosopher, I'm going to mention by name because this is, like he was not right. Like at some point in time, the guy who was my friend, the syndicalist anarchist, took a little bit of an exception to what this guy was saying. And so he walked out of the class. Okay, that's his right as a student. I don't think he said much anything. So then after he's gone, the philosopher made some snappy comment about this kid. Hey, you're still alive, Peter Preuss. That guy was paying your wages as a taxpayer and then through tuition. You don't make snappy comments about students behind their back. I'm not making this behind your back, you idiot.
Do you want my dressing?
Yeah, exactly right.
I'm all
So, he made a snappy little comment, really classless. And how classless was this guy? I can remember back in the day, the syndicalist anarchist and I were we both worked for the student newspaper, the Meliors, at the University of Lethbridge. And we were there, it must have been some Friday night. They were having a big coronation ceremony. I call it coronation. I don't know what it was. A celebration of the nomination of Blaine Thacker, I think his name was. And was he a federal liberal? Something liberal. Illiberal. That's maybe the theme of this little chat we're having. Conversation, as they say nowadays. And there was, bold as brass, was, celebrating along with everyone, was Peter Preuss. Yeah, so it looks as though he was a conservative. Okay? Wow, what a sleazeball. Anyway, regressive conservative. They call themselves the progressive conservatives. But it was that's what's called an oxymoron. And, it was, they were the regressive conservative. I wish I was the person that had invented that, but at least one other person I ran across invented that independently. I don't know if I had priority in inventing it. Anyway, this is dreadful stuff. It's really boring. It's basically just this guy cutting up the reality into various sorts of things. You're welcome to read it. I just read it because people shouldn't be required to read it. I mean, this sort of stuff should just be not thrown in the trash heap, into the dustbin of history, but just left up on shelves. But it's important to some people. And
well, it was important enough to the Britannica fellows because they put gold along the
gold here.
It's like a Bible.
Especially up top here.
Yeah.
I think this might be, they like to put it on the top for some reason. So yeah, it's really important. It's like the Bible. Kind of relatively thin pages. No, not as thin as some things. But you look at the flunkies that are here alongside. What Freud probably should be moldering up on shelves. Maybe not so much William James. Dostoevsky. Yeah. Not really, but Tolstoy, not really. I'm not enthused about those. The Marx and Engels should probably be moldering up on shelves. Darwin should be. Melville.
Okay, well, what was this Kant about?
Well, that's about what it is. Okay, it's about
there's
idealism
so
and there's ethics in there. Yeah. Oh, it's awful. I can't do injustice to it even. Okay? So it's just it's idealism. Okay?
I mean, some of those footnotes are half the page long.
There are not that many footnotes in here, but some of them are relatively long. There was so many. You see, like originally what I was doing, and I went through it. I was going through it, trying to find a way to get into it. I'd put like lines from the footnote down.
Oh yeah. So you didn't end up reading the footnote by accident.
Oh, I read the footnotes. I read everything.
Oh, I know you do, but yeah. I mean, when you're that tired, sometimes I'll do it. I'll just keep going, and then I'm like, ugh.
No, it's so I can, if I see the footnote, I can go back to here. You see how?
Oh, that's
You
why
see,
you did
like here, to go to the bottom of the page.
Yeah.
But if you see this down here, you're going, and without what I do there, you're going, where is it? And you're hunting through it. See how footnotes should be made. Now, I found a better way of doing it. Now, you know how I read. I'll go through different things at different times.
Yes.
I don't necessarily go through things right from the beginning. So I got to find a stretch.
Yeah, I make myself go start to finish.
So here's a better way of doing it. 7. Line 7. So I know it's going to be in here somewhere, right?
Oh.
Or is it, I might have, or is that, does that say 7 there, or what is it?
No, that says 12.
12,
Your
so-
eyesight is not good anymore.
Oh, never what? Okay, I went through cataract surgery.
surgery.
So for, it's great. It's 20/20 for driving.
Yeah, okay.
They were very happy with the way it worked out.
Okay.
And I'm happy. It wasn't just, hey, we did a great job on you. Here's the door. It's the other direction. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's great for driving. So there's no excuse.
Yeah.
I didn't see the pedestrian. But here it is. 12. Epicureanism. So he yips and yaps. I mean, he does have a point, right? He's yipping and yapping. I was really wanting to use this segue into. I was just working up to it. To Margaret Mead, because this is why you have to read it. But I'll talk about something else that bothers me about nowadays. Right? So I've been going through a lot of stuff, and I shouldn't have to. A lot of stuff on literary criticism and cultural criticism. This stuff, I was talking to a person I know who's teaches at the second biggest university in Canada. Not the most prestigious. By any means, the second most prestigious, but the second biggest. And he teaches English. And I was mentioning how not just awful, but god-awful. One thing I was reading on literary criticism from the 90s. And he said, oh, that was the big 90s thing. And I'm well, okay. I didn't say anything, but I'm sitting there thinking, this is coming back. And always, I go back and I hear this stuff at university. People squawking about cultural appropriation, narratives, framing, all the garbage, redrawing the boundaries, transgressing the boundaries. Oh, this garbage is coming back. See, it's the 60s generation, one generation down the road, the 90s, and then another generation down the road, the 20s, this century. That's what we're going through. All these idiots who are supporting a bunch of successors to the Black Panthers, Black Lives Matter, and supporting also transgressing boundaries. Come on in, you folks from Guatemala. We don't care if a certain percentage coming in, maybe a large percentage, are gangsters, members of gang. Come on in from Honduras. Come on in. No boundaries. No boundaries. So this stuff is coming back, I'm afraid, and it's coming back with a vengeance. I'm afraid this is the last decade where people will be allowed to be social democrats or left wing or stuff like that, because they'll be tarred with the brush of these stupid cultural critics. So one of the things, they hate Calvinism. Oh my God, do they hate Calvinism almost as much as that is the Pope. The Pope, I think it was I can't remember which one. Was it the last one? Benedict? He was calling down. Benedict means blessed, and he should be called maledict. Okay, so Benedict means kind of like good spoken. Right? Maledict is bad spoken. A malediction is a curse. Right? So he should have been called maledict. Anyway, he was calling down his malediction on Calvinism. It was the one that was contemporary with Bush Jr. He was saying that this was a sign of Calvinism. I'm going, you stupid. I don't want to hear Catholics complaining about Protestant, like one of the founders of Protestantism. Yeah, Calvin killed his share of people, or had them killed, as did Luther. And but you consider where these idiots, where they were coming from, the Catholic Church. I mean, it was kill or be killed. Now, they weren't just killing Catholics. They were killing fellow Protestants and stuff like that. So the important thing is, what does the Bible say? By their fruits ye shall know them. And I suspect that's what the Pope was saying. Hey, look at George Bush Jr. Those fruits really show what Calvinism is. No. You look at the countries in the world where capitalism prevails. Capitalism, we could actually. Capitalism is the most enlightened system, large system of expropriation ever invented. What do I mean by that? I've said it before. Capitalists steal. They thieve from you. The really smart ones, they actually just embezzle stuff. They take a little bit here, a little bit there, based on playing divide and conquer amongst the people they're dealing with. In other words, they're oligopolists, bordering on monopolists in some situations. And there's less of them than you dealing with them, either in the labor market or the capital market, buying stocks from them, or on the consumer market, where you're buying their goods. There's more of you than them. And this is just classic economic theory. What they do is they'll say, when they're teaching it, they say, like it all gets lost in the wash. Like it doesn't really make that much. Yeah, it makes a huge amount of difference, depending on how many people are on the one side of the bargain, literally the bargain, and how few there are on the other side of the bargain. Got huge advantages. They can play divide and conquer. So, yeah. Now, what every other system of appropriation out there has involved, and this includes the communists and the fascists, the Muslim, like the classical Christian stuff since Constantine and stuff like that. It involves not theft, not stealing, or robbery. There's a huge difference. I didn't understand it when I was a kid. When Paul McCartney was singing, she came in through the bathroom window. She could steal. And I think he says, but she could not rob. There's a difference. I was saying, what's the difference? The difference is robbery is done with force. Stealing is done with guile. So, there is a difference. So, what they do, another bad person for these literary critics is Descartes. And he's supposed to have set up the system of science that we've got. Now, do you know any science that Descartes ever did? René Descartes?
No.
Reborn of the cards, or something like that. Or of the maps. No. And frankly, I don't either. He might have done some scientific stuff. Maybe with optics. Now, he was a really good sharp thinker. Because you remember doing the XY coordinates?
Yeah.
Graphs? That was an invention. It's called the Cartesian system.
Oh,
That's named after him.
Yeah.
Cartesian coordinates, X, Y.
Yeah.